In the old days, the standard story told in textbooks about the origins of the Filipinos was this tale of 10 Datus arriving from Borneo and then landing in the island of Panay in central Philippines to found the first Filipino settlement. This was based on the story of the Maragtas, which has been retold so often in schools, speeches, and even textbooks, that it feels like ancient history passed down unchanged through generations. But the truth is, Maragtas, written in a mixture of Hiligaynon and Kinaraya, was not a pre-colonial document of Philippine history. It was written in 1907 by one Pedro Alcantara Monteclaro, a Visayan politician and writer from Iloilo. He never claimed that the Maragtas was a transcription of an original manuscript from the 13th century. In fact, Monteclaro presented the Maragtas as a blend of recorded traditions, local folklore, and his own narrative structure, and it was meant more to preserve cultural memory than to serve as an archival record of pre-colonial Philippines. American historian W. Henry Scott made this clear in Pre-Hispanic Source Materials for the Study of Philippine History, published in 1984. He investigated claims about the Maragtas being a Spanish-era copy of a pre-Hispanic document and found no evidence for such a manuscript ever existing. What Scott found instead were oral traditions, possibly with roots in earlier centuries, and these oral traditions were stitched together in the early 20th century under a nationalist impulse to create a grand origin story. That nationalist impulse matters. Monteclaro wrote Maragtas during the American period, a time when Filipinos were trying to assert a proud identity in the face of colonial domination. It's not surprising that he, like other thinkers of his time, felt the need to look far into the past for greatness. But the path that he took was not historical in the strict sense. Even the idea of a straight-line migration from Borneo to Panay oversimplifies what we now know about how peoples moved across Southeast Asia. The dominant theory today, backed by linguistics, archaeology, and genetics, is the out-of-Taiwan model of how the Philippines and the rest of island Southeast Asia and others were populated. This theory proposes that the Austronesian-speaking peoples, ancestors of most Filipinos, began migrating southward from Taiwan around 4,000 to 5,000 years ago. They moved into the Philippines, then onward to the rest of island Southeast Asia and the Pacific. This puts the Philippines not as a place of later settlement, but as a major dispersal hub of a great seafaring people. So, when people from Borneo or Sumatra came to the Visayas centuries later, assuming such voyages happened, they were not exactly foreigners arriving for the first time. They were likely returning along older migration routes, possibly even reconnecting with kin who had gone ahead long before. As archaeologist Victor Paz has pointed out, Austronesian migration was not a one-way movement, but a complex web of travels, returns, and cultural exchanges. Trade, intermarriage, and even seasonal back-and-forth voyages would have blurred the line between newcomer and native. The idea of the 10 Bornean Datus may contain kernels of remembered movement, but Maragtas turns that into a linear origin story. And that's where the danger lies. If indeed the story of the Bornean Datus was true, and there is no evidence to prove that it was, then they were simply returning to a place where their ancestors had already been. Thank you for watching this video. If you feel you have learned from it and would like to see more, please click that like button and subscribe to this channel. See you in the next video.